What is happening YouTube and all your draft nicks out there? In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my offensive tackle rankings, 1 through 10, and just whether or not the Dolphins should be targeting the players in the draft. So, the battle for the top tackle spot in the draft is incredibly close between Tristan Wirfs and Jedrick Wills. You really could go either way. Both men will have great careers in the NFL, and I think they both got chances to be very dominant linemen in the NFL. But as it currently stands, I've got Jedrick Wills as the top dog. Jedrick Wills, in my opinion, and many others' opinion, will be a plug-and-play Pro Bowl caliber offensive tackle in the NFL. Wills' play as a tackle is truly as elite, and it's as picturesque as it gets. He's violent, he's controlled, he's smooth, and he's smart. Wills plays with a chip on his shoulder and brings the kind of attitude and grit that you want from an NFL offensive lineman. He's the kind of leader and player that can really set the tone of an offensive line. Wills was the alpha dog this past season on that talented Alabama offensive line. Multiple players have said that he was a leader. Himself, he said that he was a leader of that great Alabama O-line. So that just tells you the kind of leader and kind of personality that he has. In the running game, Wills is equally as dominant. He continually opens gaping running lanes and blows players off the ball with tremendous strength and just flawless technique. Wills, he played on the right side in college, but I'm sure that a player of his caliber would have no trouble making a move to left tackle. It's something that we haven't seen him do, but I'm sure that, a player like Wills will have no trouble sliding to the left side. For the Dolphins, I think that Jedrick Wills is going to be a huge target in the first round. If we want to get him, we've definitely got to take him top 10 because I don't think there's any chance he's getting past pick 10, but who knows what can happen on draft night. We've seen many talented players fall in the draft, so who knows where Jedrick could fall later on in April. Number 2 on my offensive tackle rankings comes at no surprise, and it's Tristan Wirfs, the big man out of Iowa. Tristan Wirfs is a big, powerful offensive tackle. His legs just resemble giant tree trunks. Watching with the combine was just unbelievable. He's like a much more bigger Saquon Barkley. Just that giant half was made to play in the NFL. So in pass protection, he launches great out of his stance and hasn't had any issues versus outside speed rushes, and he has no trouble at all against bigger, more powerful rushes. His frame is just able to absorb any contact that comes his way. His performance at the combine was nothing short of elite for a 320-pound man. He ran a 4.840. He leaped 36 inches in the vertical and performed very well in other events. I think he jumped like a 10-1 in the broad jump. But those numbers right there tell us what kind of an athlete Wirfs is and just how elite he can be as an offensive lineman in the NFL. When he can land his punch, it's just all over. His hands are incredibly strong and he has the power base to end the play right there. In the run game, he's very strong and aggressive, similar to the pass game. He creates a ton of movement, but he can overextend and fall off his blocks at times. I really just love his aggressive demeanor, but he needs to play more under control. But it's rare, but you can see glimpses of him losing his blocks. Wirfs, like Wills, is scheme diverse, but his future might be at guard, where he has a chance to be an all-pro on the inside. I think that his giant frame would work very well in much closer quarters. Just think Zach Martin of the Cowboys. He played tackle in college for Notre Dame and moved into guard, and he's gone on to have an all-pro career. So I think that Tristan Wirfs definitely has an opportunity to have a similar career to Zach Martin. And I definitely want the Dolphins to go after him in the draft. Just like Jedrick Wills, it will have to be in the top 10, especially after he killed it at the combine. We'd have to be in the top 10, and we'd probably have to bypass taking a quarterback in the top 10 to land a guy like Tristan Wirfs in the first round. So on to number 3 in my offensive tackle rankings. It's the big man, Mekhi Becton out of Louisville. At 6'7", 367 pounds, Becton is a behemoth of a left tackle prospect. At that immense size, Becton ran a 5'1" at the combine, which has only cemented him as one of the best left tackles in the draft, or best tackles in the draft. He has a rare combination of size and athleticism that we might not have seen before in the NFL. In pass protection, he has surprisingly nimble feet, and he uses his length to steer defenders wherever he wants them to go. He has 35.5-inch arms, which is just outrageous and unbelievable length on the blind side out there. Even when he fails to land his initial punch, he can absorb rushes with his sheer mass and girth, which is something that we see a lot from Trent Brown of the Raiders. In the run game, Mekhi Becton is an absolute force of nature, and he collects bodies by the dozens. He routinely uproots and dumps defenders of all sizes. Just what he does to DBs and linebackers is just isn't fair. He just really latches on and uses that length and his upper body strength to talk and toss defenders. He can be not as effective when working in space, but I'm sure with more reps and practice with an NFL team, he's definitely going to get better because he's an amazing athlete. So there's no way he can't get better at getting to the second level and uprooting any defender that gets in his way. If the Dolphins are going to go to like a power man scheme with their offensive line, which the signing of Ereck Flowers definitely does indicate, because Flowers is a massive man at 6'6", 330 pounds, and does just a tremendous job winning his one-on-one battles. So Mekhi Becton, he'd be a perfect fit on the left side of the offensive line to just wreak havoc, win his one-on-one matchups, and just blow anyone off the ball, because he's just an absolute force of nature that I think can absolutely dominate the NFL competition, because just that size and athleticism only spells trouble for opposing defenses. Mekhi Becton's potential in the NFL truly is sky high. On to number 4 in my offensive tackle rankings, I've got Andrew Thomas here. Before the conclusion of the college season and before this whole pre-draft process got going, a lot of draft experts and pundits had Andrew Thomas going top 5 in the draft, but as this process has moved along and we've watched tape and see guys at the combine, he's definitely taken a back seat to guys like Wirfs, Wills, and Becton. Andrew Thomas is a thick, powerful offensive lineman that has elite physical attributes. He was a 3-year starter at left tackle for Georgia, and Thomas enters the NFL experienced in a pro scheme and executing against the best opponents in college football has to offer. He's played in the playoffs, he's played in the national championship game. Yeah, he's got a lot of experience against top tier opponents in the SEC. As a run blocker, Thomas is outstanding, and I think that's where he'll have the biggest impact at the next level in the NFL. In pass protection, Andrew Thomas can at times have average foot quickness in his set, but he does possess a powerful punch and a strong anchor. He's an incredibly strong dude. He gets in trouble at times because his base can be way too wide, and he does lunge and he loses balance, and that's exactly why I've got him 4th here on the list. If he had much better balance like a Wirfs or a Wills, he definitely would be considered as one of the best tackles in this draft, but there's just way too many times on tape I saw him losing a hold of his block and just losing balance and pretty much falling on the ground. Back to his run blocking ability, he definitely comes out of his stance and uproots defenders, and he just has the strength to wash defenders down the line of scrimmage on down blocks on the second level. Just his raw power and athleticism is just the greatest attribute he's bringing to the NFL. And if he cleans up his deficiencies, losing balance at the waist, I think he can be a pretty solid tackle in the NFL. But I think overall, some teams view Thomas as a guard. I think the right guard spot for him could be perfect, where he can use that sheer power and length just to keep guys at bay and do his work in tighter quarters. The best chance that the Dolphins would have drafting Andrew Thomas would probably be at pick 18. I don't see him getting past there. But if they were able to work with him to fix those balance issues and just turn into a better overall offensive lineman, I think he could work well at either left tackle or right tackle. But I'd rather see him at guard, where he can use that immense size and length to dominate at the point of attack. Coming in at number 5 in my offensive tackle rankings is Joshua Jones out of Houston. Jones lined up at left tackle for the Cougars. He's got the ideal frame and length for the position. In pass pro, he's very smooth and efficient in his passing sets. He isn't overly explosive, but he's got enough foot quickness to kick out and cover up speed rushes, and he does quite well against power rushes as well. He's got the frame and strength to hold up there as well. He's got a firm punch, and he does a nice job replacing his hands when they get knocked down. He's got tremendous hands for a tackle. He does play a little high at times, and that does affect his ability to redirect pass rushes, especially when they attack him with up and under moves. In the run game, he can create movement on down blocks, and he's effective on the second level. He showed great awareness when I was watching his tape in both the run and the passing game. Overall, Jones has some games where he looks like a top 15 player, especially against Oklahoma. But then he's got games where he looks like a second or third round pick. He needs to play with better knee bend on a consistent basis. He can, at times, lose balance, but not quite to the same level as Andrew Thomas. He should be a solid, dependable early starter in his career. At the Senior Bowl, Jones really showed the kind of ability that he possesses as a tackle. He did incredibly well against the competition in Mobile and had no trouble blocking whoever was thrown his way. It just really was surprising to see, and he really helped out his draft stock tremendously at the Senior Bowl. I feel like he wasn't considered a first-round pick prior to that week, but he definitely left that week as a day one draft pick. Josh Jones should be a solid, dependable starter early in his career. If the Dolphins are targeting Jones in the draft, it'll probably be at pick 26, possibly in round 2 with our first pick in round 2, depending on how the draft board falls in April. But regardless, where he goes, I wouldn't be mad about the selection if he lands with the Dolphins. I definitely feel like the coaching staff can work with him. And he's just got natural ability to be an awesome blocker as a tackle in the NFL. Coming in at number 6 in the offensive tackle rankings here is Austin Jackson out of USC. You definitely could have him over Josh Jones, but at this point, I've got Jones over Austin Jackson. And I really could see the Dolphins taking either of these guys at 26th overall. So Austin Jackson is a very young player, but he's incredibly athletic and he's got great size at 6'6", 320 pounds. He definitely put on weight coming into the combine. Prior to the combine, he was 310 pounds and he was 322 at the combine. So it's nice to see him adding some mass to his frame. His best trait is definitely his length, his mobility, and his athleticism. The way he comes out of his stance is just completely effortless, and he just has no trouble cutting off speed rushes. He can have trouble at times against powerful rushers like AJ Epinesa, like we saw in the bowl game against Iowa. But overall, he does a great job just getting into his landmarks and just cutting off rush lanes for pass rushers. Austin Jackson needs to improve on his initial punch, as he's often late to shoot his hands and he gives up his chest, leaving him vulnerable to the bull rush like we saw with Epinesa. He flashes the ability to settle down after giving up ground, but he definitely needs to improve on his technique. Far too often, his lack of discipline with his fundamentals got the better of him. In the running game, he's got the quickness to reach out and cut off the backside, and he does a good job of staying attached on the front side. His overall play strength definitely needs to improve, like I said, and he's only 20 years old, and that should really come in time. Jackson isn't ready to play at a high level right away, but the upside truly is tantalizing. You can just see the effortless athleticism, just his speed, and the way he moves. He kind of reminds you of like a Larry Tunsil, just an elite athlete, and I'm sure with time and preparation and just getting stronger, he can transform into a formidable left tackle at the next level. On to number 7 on my list here, I've got Prince Tega Wanogho from Auburn. Tega Wanogho is a very raw prospect that is still new to playing football, and that's apparent when watching his tape. While he's got the perfect frame to develop, he's got long arms and just excellent athleticism. His quickness for a guy his size is just amazing to watch. His technique and just using his physical gifts are very much a work in progress. Prince Tega Wanogho has an exciting ceiling to reach should he develop, and his tools make him an intriguing option. But with that said, it could take some patience because he's so new to football, and he profiles as an eventual starter at tackle, ideally in a zone blocking run scheme. I think for the Dolphins, he'd be perfect at right tackle, just using his athleticism and his quickness to our advantage, just getting out on the next level and just using that rare quickness to get up on defenders and open up some rushing lanes for the offense. I just think with his frame and his length and his athleticism, he can develop as a pass protector, and I really don't think he'll have trouble as a tackle in the NFL. He's got the rare physical gifts to dominate. He'll go somewhere in the second round, possibly early third round, so the Dolphins will have a couple of chances to draft this guy if they feel like they can use his rare physical gifts to mold him into a dominant beast at tackle. Coming in at number 8, the second Georgia tackle is Isiah Wilson. He played right tackle this past season for the Bulldogs. He is a huge tackle, 6'6", 350 pounds. He's an absolute beast at the point of attack, and he definitely uses that frame to get the better of defenders. Even though he's 350 pounds, similar to Becton, he really can get out in space and make things happen. He's just an impressive athlete for a guy his size. And he's definitely got a similar mauling play style to Becton. He's an absolutely gigantic tackle that really gets beat physically. He would work perfectly in a power blocking scheme, like I said previously, that the Dolphins are probably going to be implementing. He has a very impressive blend of size, mobility, and power, and I really didn't think I'd see that kind of athleticism from a guy his size. He's scheme versatile as a blocker, and he projects best to the right side, where he'll be a power blocker that can get out in the run game, but also get rarely beat physically as a pass protector. He's definitely got to work on his fundamentals and technique, but I think a guy at this size, 6'6", 350 pounds, and this kind of athleticism, it's just too much to pass up. And I think his kind of value would be perfect at 70th overall. So that's it for my offensive tackle rankings. I was going to do a top 10, but I think we'll leave it there at 8 tackle prospects. So from the top, I got Jedrick Wills, number 1, Tristan Wirfs, number 2. You could easily have Wirfs at number 1. It's just really is a preference. Mekhi Becton at number 3, Andrew Thomas, number 4, Josh Jones, number 5, Austin Jackson at 6, Prince Tega Wanogho at 7, and last but not least, to round out the top 8, I've got Isiah Wilson out of Georgia at number 8. So that's it for this video, guys. That's my top 8 rankings for the offensive tackle prospects in this year's draft. I've been studying these guys for a number of months, so I'm pretty confident that these are the top 8 offensive tackles heading into the 2020 draft. So make sure to let me know what you think about the rankings. I'm sure you guys have got your opinions, so I always love hearing from you. Like and subscribe if you've been enjoying the content. And as always, it's fins up, baby. We've got about 2 weeks to the draft, and I just cannot wait. We've got nothing else going on, and this is going to be an awesome day for us Dolphins fans. Well, awesome 3 days, so April 24th can't come soon enough. All right, cheers, guys.